Join me now as we continue our read and commentary in the book of Daniel. Today's read, Daniel chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. Welcome to Daily Timothy Time. My name is Karl Coates, and it's a privilege, pleasure, and an absolute joy to be with you once again with an open King James Bible today, Thursday, the 26th of February 2026. Saints, we're starting a new chapter in the book of Daniel. We're in chapter 3 today. Chapter 3 is chapter 3 to chapter 6 deals with the moral the moral identity of the times of the Gentiles. It's a really interesting subject. Anyway, let's get to reading. Stick with me to the end when I offer some commentary, some interesting things today that you can meditate on prayerfully and take back to your own personal study to be persuaded in your own mind. Let's get to reading. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning, fiery furnace. Well, saints, this is a really interesting passage. A couple of things I do want to bring up here. The obvious and the first thing that should come to your mind immediately is, especially if you've been around Christianity all your life, as from a little boy, a little girl growing up, we know that late in a couple of verses time, we're going to read about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego going into the fire. So it's that chapter. But the build up to that is quite important. Nebuchadnezzar, a couple of things to take note of here. He built an image, the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. First off, when you study through this passage, and I hope you do, you get to see that Nebuchadnezzar is a type of Antichrist. There's a wonderful typology here. When you look at this golden image that he... 6 times it says he set up. When you read from verse 1 down through verse 7, that number 6 is man's number. I'm not going to get too much into that right now, but it is interesting to note that. And this, so let's think back to chapter 2. So Nebuchadnezzar has this dream. Daniel interprets it. Nebuchadnezzar is the head of gold. Remember, it was the head of gold, then the chest and the arms of silver. I'll have to go back and let's have a quick look at the head's image of fine gold, his breasts and arms silver, his belly and thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. So that's the image that Nebuchadnezzar dreamt about. So he was the head of gold. So what does Nebuchadnezzar want to do now? He totally disregards his dream. He totally disregards the interpretation thereof. You remember Daniel interpreted that here's your kingdom and then inferior kingdoms will come afterwards. So Nebi thinks to himself, well, why should we have inferior kingdoms after me? Let me just be the whole deal. Let me just be the whole image. And so he makes a whole image of gold. Now, what does that image look like? Some people might think it might be the same image that he dreamt of. When you look at Baal worship, etc., etc., I'm leaning more that it's not that same image, that man. Rather, it is, what's the word? It's a phallic image. If you know what that means, if you don't, you can look it up in a dictionary. That's a type of, it's like an obelisk type of thing made of gold. That's what's going on here. Now, here's the thing. When you read through this section here, and the chapters prior, so in his kingdom, there's a one language thing going on. Remember, if you go back to Daniel chapter 1, he has all the youngsters. Where does the verse say it? He says here in chapter 1, verse 4, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in wisdom and cunning and knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. So Nebuchadnezzar wants a one language kingdom. We now see that he also wants a one government kingdom. He, in his mind, he is the ruler over all the land. Now, there are a lot of verses we can go to, but I'm just giving you a bit of a summary here. So not only is there a one language world system that he wants to build, there's now a one world government. And if you look down at verse 5, it says here that at what time ye shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. You see that whole thing of worship, there is a religious service going on here. So this is state worship. We recognize that today, the one language, one world government, one world religion. We see that today as globalism. It was already going on back in Daniel's time. So it's nothing new. And once again, Nebuchadnezzar is a type of the Antichrist. If you go over to Revelation 13 and give it a read and you start to join the dots, you see that Nebuchadnezzar, and I'm going to say it once again, is a type of Antichrist. Now, also something very interesting, and I'm going to close off with this one for today. If you look at verse 5, there's some musical instruments come to play here. Question. Who in if you look in scripture, who was the original musician? Well, we all know the answer to that. And in fact, if you go over to, I wrote a verse down here. Is it Ezekiel? In fact, come with me over to Job, just very quickly. I hope I got the right verse here. There are a lot of passages, folks, that we could go to yet. I'm just watching the time. So I want to quickly take you to Job. Come with me to Job chapter 38. Job chapter 38. Just give something a quick look here. Job chapter 38. I hope I got the right verse. Job chapter 38, verses 1 through 7. If you read Job 38, verses 1 through 7, you see that verse 7, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. You see, music's been there from the beginning. If you go to Ezekiel, I think it is. Over in the book of Ezekiel, you read about Lucifer being that covering cherub. He is the original musician. Now, when we look at music, that's a whole wonderful doctrine to look at. The different parts of it, harmony, rhythm, and melody. Now, I know I'm branching off into totally something completely different here. But have you ever studied out music? If you haven't and you would like to, please drop me a comment in the comment box down below, and I could point you in a direction of some wonderful teachings on music, understanding music from a biblical perspective. Really, really important. Folks, I'm looking at this passage as I'm speaking to you. There's so much more we could chat about and really elucidate on. But you know what? The bit of information or a bit of commentary I've dropped with you today, take that back to your personal study, and just read the verses that I've read to you today. Consider what I've said, and you be persuaded in your own mind. Once again, if you're unsure of what I've said, or if you want me to elaborate a bit more, drop a comment down below and we'll gladly get back to you ASAP. Lastly, if you're looking for a commentary on the book of Daniel, might I suggest, if you get a hold of Shorewood Bible Church, Pastor Richard Jordan has a commentary on the book of Daniel. It's called A Grace Believer's Guide to the Book of Daniel. That's a wonderful read, and it'll be of tremendous help to you if you want to study the book of Daniel. Anyway, folks, we'll leave it there for today. Wherever you are around the world, thank you for listening. If you have the heart to, please share this in your socials, and remember to keep your sword sharp, soldier. Until we meet again next time, if the Lord tarries, grace and peace to you. Maranatha.